Child Protective Services just left my house for the second time. They came and interviewed me 2 times in one day. So they went to my house first, then they went to interview my kids. If you guys don't know, I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl, 9 years old and 7 years old. And then they came back to my place and interviewed me for a second time, where my girlfriend actually answered the door. And I'll tell you guys why she actually stepped in and wanted to answer the door the second time, which was actually a pretty significant moment for me to see her do that. And it really did mean a lot to me. And I'll explain why in a second. So I'm no stranger to Child Protective Services. I've interacted with them plenty of times because my ex wife, she's dedicated her life to trying to make mine difficult, dedicated her life to trying to occupy space in my mind. She's told me that she'll never stop. She's lied on documentation, false claims, and this is going to backfire in the future. And I'll explain a little bit about why that is. However, I'm going to use this as a teaching moment to teach men how to avoid these situations. And if you happen to find yourself in these situations, how to deal with it and come out on top and control your energy and control your temperament and remain on your path and stick to your journey and in the end to prevail. So a little bit of backstory. I was with this woman for about 10 years. We were high school sweethearts. I met her at 16. She approached me. I escalated things from there. We were friends for a year. Eventually started dating, got religiously married. So this is, I won't say the religion just for her privacy. However, I'm no longer that religion. I no longer am any religion. I just believe in doing the right thing, keeping it simple, basically focusing on the min max approach, which is just control my energy, be positive to people. Hopefully, the universe respects that, or God, or whoever it is respects that, and they send me back positive energy. It keeps it simple for me. I don't have to sit under a label or anything like that. Anyway, we got religiously married, and we stayed religiously married for the purposes of this conversation, let's say for 6 years. Then I joined the military. Prior to joining the military, we had my son in 2015 and then my daughter in 2017. Funny thing about that is she actually said that I haven't been supporting the kids since my son was born, but obviously I was with her because I had a daughter 2 years later. Um, there was actually some falsified paperwork on that, and I got that thrown out, but she essentially had me on paper as owing her $17,000. However, I was able to prove that I was supporting the children and I was with her from 2015 and on. And this is a good point to mention that one of the most dangerous things in this situation is that there are no penalties for women who lie on paperwork. Well, there are, but there's certain things you have to do, and there's only certain penalties for certain things. So when you have a woman who's dedicated to trying to ruin your life, she doesn't really care about the consequences. She's not really tracking that people are watching her and the lies are building up, and there's cases that are actually building up as far as fraud. But there's not enough penalties, and they start to realize that because the courts move really slow, it's really hard to prove certain things. So essentially, you could walk into a house with a woman, she could say you punched her in the face, you could be arrested, you could get an injunction placed on you simply because you don't want to pay the lawyer fees. Because in your mind, you might think, okay, I went to court, I don't have anybody to represent me because I don't want to pay the money or I don't have the money. And now the judge tells you, hey, it's just a little injunction. All you got to do is take this and never return to her home address or never return to the home. Let's say you guys were living together. Let's say she lives separate from you and you came over there to do something like pick up something and then you walked in the house, she calls and she lies. Now you have an injunction on you simply because you didn't want to pay the court fees. You didn't want to pay the lawyer to represent you, and they gave you a deal to just stay away from her home. So you're like, okay, I'll stay away from her home. I won't go there. No big deal. But now the woman gets to post on Facebook that he has an injunction on him. And then everybody gets to say, wow, girl, are you serious? Oh my God, I'm so glad you got out of that situation. What a terrible man. Especially if you're the type of man who carries yourself with respect. You don't take BS from people. You're pretty stoic and serious. You think they like you? Of course not. Because you walk around in power. Even if you're humble and they got to know you, they'd understand that your approach is just to focus on success and try to be the best version of yourself, and you just have laser focus on your goals. they'll see you moving through the world as an arrogant man simply because you have a place to be, you have a purpose, you have a direction, and you're not looking left and right, paying attention to everybody else. So you'll be judged for the way you carry yourself. Anyway, long story short, me and this woman, we were together for a long time. I filed for divorce, and she disappeared with my kids when I was in the military. And then I came to Florida to reestablish 50-50 and be with my kids. Now, once I reestablished 50-50, obviously she didn't like that because child support is actually now going away. So this is her way of retaliating, is to lie on documents, to grill the kids for information when they return back to her, check their body to see if there's any marks, try to place blame on me for that, try to interrogate my son, interrogate my daughter, tell me I'm not upkeeping her hair, just little things that are lies. It becomes so many little things that actually the best way to deal with it is to only deal with the major offenses or the major lies and take it to court, because every single time you do an exchange, you're going to get a paragraph of things you didn't do right. And the person is just looking for attention. They're unhappy. They may say that they're house shopping and they have a fiance or they have a boyfriend and he's amazing. And you might meet him and see that he's a goofball and you know they're not happy. You can tell, you can see that they hold hate in their heart. You can see every time you come around them, they can't look you in your eyes. There's just a lot of little things that let you know you're winning. And the goal is to stick to your path and your purpose and try to persist through that. And then 10 years later, 15 years later, when the kids turn 18, you did your job, you move on as a man, you understand that it was a hard journey, but you did what you had to do. Now, let me circle back to child support services coming to my house. I opened the door, and there's two women right outside the door. One of them's actually in training, and the older one seems like a veteran. She's been doing this for a long time. Now, as soon as I opened the door, I could tell the disdain and the hatred towards men in general. And I don't blame her for that necessarily. I just think that, I have a certain look and a certain energy when I'm confused or when somebody's at my door and I don't know what they're doing there. I might have had a sleeveless shirt on. She might have, noticed I have a tattoo in the middle of my chest. So obviously I'm being labeled. And then as the interview continued, she started to ease up a little bit. I started to help her with her temperament by just kind of being articulate, sounding a little bit more educated than maybe the typical people she's used to dealing with. And she kind of understood at that point that, she's not dealing with somebody who is vulgar or trying to be disrespectful or dismissive of her. But her initial energy is what most men are met with. We're met with, we believe the woman until you prove to us that you're not a bad guy. So she realized I wasn't a bad guy over time, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I wanted to talk about that initial introduction just so you guys understand that you shouldn't take it personal. They deal with all kinds of people. When you go to the middle school and you haven't really established a relationship with those teachers, but now you have some custody of your kids, just understand that the teachers are looking at you as the bad guy. The coach is looking at you as the bad guy. He also wants to sleep with your ex-wife. So, naturally he's going to lean towards her side. He's going to, kind of piggyback off the stuff she says. And it's just a part of the program. When you can just look at it and smile and just kind of look at people as goofballs in general in a loving way. I don't look at it as like, oh, I hate them or like, how can they not see this? And you're never going to be able to prove it, especially to men, because men want to sleep with her. So even if you show the man the document, let's say you show her boyfriend the document showing that you filed for divorce, but she was lying to him and telling him that she filed for divorce, he's still going to somehow in his brain justify it or make an excuse for her so he can still sleep with her because he's in scarcity. He's never had a woman like that. So of course he's gonna, figure out a way to excuse her behavior. But if he was a real man, he would look into that and he would actually permanently disqualify her from his life because that's a vicious lie. And there's a lot more attached to that. If a man actually leaves you, when a man divorces a woman, it's a really big deal. Like he would rather not be with anyone than to be with her is what happens when a man divorces a woman. Initial reaction was crazy, but understood. And we continued on to the questioning. She asked me about what I put in my kids' protein shakes. I am big on kids getting proper nutrition. I give my kids a healthy, solid, whole food meal every 4 to 5 hours, and then they get a snack in between. I like systems and structure, so I'm a structured person. Each meal is balanced. We do that. We have a snack in between, and that way they fulfill their little snack stuff, cravings for kids, and they get healthy meals all the way through. And sometimes if I'm giving them something like a peanut butter sandwich, I'll also give them like a little Ensure protein shake, which has like 10 grams of protein per shake, and it's about 150 calories just to balance out the meal. So she tried to highlight that as one of the things I do is that I only give the kids protein. Now, it's an easy thing to attack because when people see me, they see that I'm in really good shape. I'm a bigger guy, I'm taller, and it just kind of lines up. And it's like so smart of her. It's just so tactical to like pick that, you know? But I understand. And we already know at this point in the video, we get it. We get why it's being done. We get the manipulation, the parental alienation, the want for child support. We get that this is all about child support and all about being seen, heard, and taking up space in your mind as the win for the woman. But just talking about some of the things that you might deal with. For you, it might not be the protein shake thing, but it might be that you're really into sports, and she might say that you train your son for 3 hours a day when you go to the park with him for an hour and throw the football. She might say that, you know, if your son's arm hurts from throwing the football because he threw it really hard one day, she may say that all you do is make him throw the football over and over and over, and he's dislocating his shoulder because his dad is forcing him to play sports that he doesn't want to play. And she can do all that on paperwork. She can lie, she can say whatever. And then when the kids get interviewed, then the truth comes out and the tone changes. But it still sends people to your door. It's still a threat tactic. It's still something to raise your anxiety. It just adds up and it can cause a lot of frustration. So it's important that you do things to de stress yourself, like work out, have healthy relationships, healthy habits. If you were drinking and smoking, cut those out. Just try to live in a wholesome way because it allows you to kind of deflect all of that and know truly in your heart that you're doing the best thing you can. And when you have an entire system fighting against you, you really have to clean up your act. They also asked me to take a THC test and asked me if I drank. Luckily for me, I don't drink and I don't smoke. I used to, but I just happened to clean those things up as a part of this process or just a part of like being on my purpose and focusing on success and seeing a little bit of life giving me a few rewards, and I want to double down on that. So any kind of dead weight or any extra stuff that was like using up resources or putting me in a position where I may end up like drinking and driving or anything like that, cut it out completely, just trying to live life in a more positive way. So it's kind of a message of using something negative and turning it into a positive, although you're being forced to do it. And that's the smartest approach if you really love your kids and you really want to clean up everything so that you can truly be there for them with no mistakes. Because when you have a bunch of lights on you, any little mistake you make is going to be highlighted. So if I get a DUI, it's no longer just a DUI, it's now loss of custody. And it's now the DUI payments to get that thing in your car or whatever, and the increase in payments to child support. So they start to compound now. So you can't make any mistakes. And, pressure either creates diamonds or it bursts pipes or something like that. You guys understand what I'm saying? The pressure can either break you or make you. And I choose to have it make me. But with this story, I'm sure that there's a young man listening to this at 16, 17. He's got a girlfriend. He doesn't know that this is going to be his fate, but here's a few tactics to deal with this. So that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here for. I believe that my purpose on this planet is to create the best version of myself and to give him away. So that's what I'm doing in every situation I go through because I have a son and a daughter and because I've been alienated. Okay, so my girlfriend just called me and it cut out the video. So I'll try to pick back up where I was. But what I was saying is that my purpose here is to go through these situations and give some sort of direction to younger people, if nothing else, to give direction to my son because I truly believe, and I'll always say this, one of the most important decisions a man makes in his life is picking the right partner and picking the right mother of his children. And if you don't know how to vet properly, you really can't avoid this stuff. And all you're going to be able to do is just do the best job you can through it because this person is dedicated to ruining your life, being on your mind, occupying space, making you pay attention to them, and they get energy from it. And a lot of times people don't realize that women, they take energy, they suck energy from you. Even being around them, it can be an energy sucker if you have the wrong one, especially. If you have the right one, obviously it pours into you and it gives you energy and motivation. But when you have the wrong woman, it's a succubus, as Coach Greg would say. Let's get back to the story. So she interviews me, weird energy, gets better throughout the interview, asks me some questions about the kids, asks me some questions about protein shakes, questions about where they sleep because apparently my ex said that they sleep on a couch, but they sleep on a couch bed and they like sleeping on the couch bed because it's huge. It's bigger than a king. It's comfortable. There's a bunch of blankets on there. It's right in front of the giant TV that I have, and it's just a comfortable place for them to sleep. And they like sleeping with each other. They don't want to sleep in separate beds or bedrooms. They like sleeping on that couch because it's just a nice little setup. It's basically a little kids media center. There's a gaming PC there. There's a 80-inch TV there. There's a fan. There's the patio or balcony, whatever. There's all that stuff there. And my room is more like minimalistic. It's right down the hall, and I've got my stuff in there, PS5, whatever. So my son plays gaming. He games on the PC. My daughter watches TV. She has a TV in her room as well, but she likes to be close to my son. She lays on his shoulder, lays on his chest. Like she likes him. She likes company. She likes to feel protected. She loves her brother, and that's just what it is. So he's always in that area. So she's always in that area. But the lady ended up coming into the room and coming into the house, checking it out. I didn't clean up because I didn't know she was there, but she made a comment. She said, "Oh, this is nice." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, normally I clean up better and stuff. It's the morning. I didn't get a chance to reset my house and reset the rooms and whatnot." But she's used to dealing with people who live in different conditions, so she thought that that was great. She thought that everything looked great, and I didn't even like it, but I was like, okay, well, that's cool. No judgment there. At that point, my girlfriend was in the house too, but she didn't talk to her. She then went to interview my kids. About an hour later, she came back to my place, told me the kids were amazing, they're little angels, whatnot. I was happy to hear that. I told her that before she said anything that they said or any report, I told her they'll be honest too. So I told her basically, I'm telling her like, I have nothing to hide here. I don't believe in being a scared man on this planet. If I do something wrong, you can cuff me, do what you need to do, but I stand on my truth. I stand on my principles, and I'll die about that. That's just how I am. There's no other way to live. I don't believe in living in fear. So I told her before she even said anything, my kids are honest. Whatever they said, I believe that to be the truth, showing trust in my kids and hoping that the system works out as far as, a father doing the right thing and whatnot. And it worked out because she said, no, the kids explained everything. She asked me if I've ever put hands on my son. I told her I've roughed him up, but I've never beat him. I've never taken a belt to him. I've never raised a hand and slapped him or smacked him in any way. I've definitely grabbed his shoulder and moved him around a little bit, shook him up because he deserved it at the time because we had a little situation where he wasn't being nice to his sister, and I had to let him know that my daughter will be treated with respect by every man on this planet and every human on this planet, including you, or you'll have to face me, and that's just what it's going to be. So that was the only time we had an issue, and that shook his world, and he adjusted, and we've never had an issue after that. I actually told her that was the only time I've ever had to discipline my son, and the last time I probably will, and he has completely adjusted after that time. When he speaks to her, if he even notices his tone was high, he looks at me because he knows I don't play about my daughter, period. So she understood that. And I told her my daughter's an angel. She's never done anything wrong. My daughter has the natural thing that most daughters have, which is the little victim mindset. She falls, oh my God, I'm going to die. The world's going to end. Somebody raises their voice. Oh no, you destroyed me by raising your voice at me. Oh my God, I can't function. I'm going to just pass away. You know, like it's a little girl, right? So she has those things of being a little victim and whatnot. And it's natural in women. It starts when they're kids. Everything happens to them, not for them. And it's just like how it is. But other than that, and that's a normal thing, by the way. But other than that, she's cool, no issues, sweet angel, princess, everything. Like, daddy will take care of you forever. Don't worry about this planet. I got you. That's kind of how I operate with her. Obviously, try in school and do the right thing and stuff like that, or else I'll put you in a one-bedroom apartment. I'm just kidding. I just believe in taking care of women, so that's just my mindset. But I say all that to say the tone switched up. She saw me as a great dad. Oh, and another thing, my girlfriend actually answered the door. She looked in the little hole and saw that it was the same lady from Child Protective Services. So she was like, I'll get it, which was cool because I was like, that was her kind of jumping in the way of me and the lady to kind of serve as a bridge between us to show the lady that this is a good dad. I do have a few things to say on his behalf before you even get started with him because my girl knows I'm not gonna back down from someone who is approaching me with like disrespect or any kind of energy. I match energy. So if you're on bullshit, I'm on bullshit too. We gonna be on bullshit together. I'm gonna hug you and we gonna both fall into the fire and die. That's how I operate. So she hopped in there and wanted to kind of serve as a little bit of a mediator, and She talked to them, and then when they talked to me after that, complete energy change. And it was changing throughout the first conversation, but after that, it was like big shift, and it was like, oh, like basically apologetic about the way they were before, which was cool. And I told them I understand, there's no worries, whatever. The kids said the right thing as far as saying the truth and saying that I don't do certain things to them, and I don't, give them only protein shakes, and I don't make them sleep on a little couch or a little dirty couch or anything like that. And they said that they're actually going to be looking into what she's been doing as far as investigating her. And there's actually some stuff that's going on in regards to her where they're looking into her false reporting as well. So that's going to be a part of the whole process moving forward. That was my girlfriend walking by. She called me earlier, and she's walking upstairs now. Anyway, they said that everything should check out. They're looking into her stuff. She's going to be investigated, or they're building a case to investigate her in regards to false claims and fraud and lying on paperwork. This is separate from the courts. So I've got the courts thing going on to where there's false claims, and then I've got like complete lies. I'm talking like literally, I have police report. I have police officers willing to testify against all of this stuff and like trying to help me. Well, if I wanted to. My approach is to not pay attention and focus on money and success. But if I wanted to like build a case in the legal system, I could. And then CDC is doing it, CPS is doing it on their end. So everyone's kind of paying attention to it. And it's a really crazy situation. It's quite hilarious actually, just because of like my mindset while it's happening is just funny to me. And I'll probably write a book on it one day. But it's just a story of perseverance and, being a man about your stuff and never folding no matter what. So I'll have more stories on this because she'll keep doing it. I should have actually talked about the injunction and all the other stuff that's happened, like false claims and all that kind of stuff, things getting thrown out, all that, garnished wages, garnished taxes, all that kind of stuff, false claims, owing $17,000 when I've been in my kid's life and they're like literally right next to me, and I'm getting paperwork saying I haven't supported my kids when we live in a house in Arizona and they're right here, stuff like that. So hopefully you guys take a few things from this message. What I'm doing here is trying to give my life as an example of what to do, and in some cases what to not do, and trying to inspire young men to follow the right path, do the right thing, and be the best version of themselves. And my goal on this planet is to be the best version of myself and give him away to my son. And since I'm already doing that, might as well give myself to you guys. Anyway, take care. I'll be back again soon.